So is this like a come to Jesus moment for Pelosi and Schumer? You know, we talked about last week how the people in power in the Democratic Party are old. They're all old, and it's like, and if the polls are saying we as those folks that are Democrats feel like we want somebody like an AOC, right? We want somebody like a Summer Lee, right? We want somebody who's going to stand up a Jasmine Crockett, right? We want to see people fight back, push back, you know what I'm saying? Like put their intelligence and their bodies on the line. And the Democrats is like, the best we can do is Chuck Schumer bowing down again. Like, where do they go from here?
I think
it's a wrap.
I mean, it's looking like it's a wrap.
Yes.
Mostly because
can it get worse?
They're in positions of power.
Right.
With power to do and say something.
Yes.
But instead of just kind of bowing down, and it seems like, from my perspective, they're afraid to stand up to President Trump.
Right.
They're afraid of what that means for their job. But also, I feel like on a government level, what Michigan is doing with, what is it called again? Hold on, I got to find it. With this Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness, I feel like
Minnesota,
yeah.
Yes.
I feel like that's what we're seeing in the Democratic Party is that they don't want to be like oppositional to Trump because of how he's using his power and what that might mean for their position moving forward.
Right. I mean, you have somebody like, remember, like one of the highest, most visible Democrat during the campaign was Gavin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Newsom being this, you know, the governor of California and being floated as a possible person that could run for office. He's now taking these stances that are kind of aligned with Donald Trump and MAGA.
Well, I mean, he's a multimillionaire. He's still a capitalist. He's still someone who has a vested interest in protecting the wealth of himself and other people like himself.
But it's like if the people are mad at the Democratic Party, Farouk, and people are looking and saying, we need somebody that's a champion that's going to fight. We need somebody going to stand up and fight Donald Trump, and you're Gavin Newsom, and you're like, the best I can do is start a podcast and hold these like kind, chummy conversations with other MAGA folks.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we're asking you to fight back.
But they don't.
We're asking you to push back. We're asking you to be a challenge to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, right? And you're like,
about that.
Yeah, you know, maybe if we start a podcast and just talk to Donald Trump or just talk to Elon Musk, like that'll show like we can all come together.
But it's not that he's talking to these white supremacists on his podcast. It's that he's having these chummy conversations, adopting their policies and not pushing back on the harm.
Yes.
And what you talked about earlier about the Democratic Party, somebody tweeted out that said, hypothetically speaking, if the Democrats would have won in December by 3 seats, there have been 3 dead Democrats who were all been in their 70s. And so we would have lost the House because the House was only being held on by 3 to 4 seats.
Yes.
So when we're talking about bringing people into Congress, we need to talk to people who can live there and advocate there and who are healthy, but not even healthy, but it's the people who are going to have the policies and principles. Gavin Newsom threw trans people under the bus.
Yes.
Automatically, right?
Automatically.
We thought, and I said this the other week, we thought that it was just people who supported Palestinians and their supporters who were going to be thrown off the bus. It's Palestinians and their supporters, it's trans people and their supporters, it's immigrants now and their supporters.
Right.
Now it's also women because we need to save men and boys.
Right.
And when we talk about all of these issues, I will once again go back to the Justins in Tennessee and red MAGA Republican Tennessee.
Yeah.
The Justins have been doing cultural organizing, have been talking about how being a strong man means
standing up.
You stand up for women, you stand up for queer folks, you stand up for people who are marginalized. How being a Christian means that you are called to stand up for people who are poor and disabled and working class and queer and trans and Palestinian, right? So when we're talking about having a unified democratic message that takes cultural organizing, identity politics, practice and principle and putting it all in one so we can win. The Justins have that. But because the Democrats do not actually want to fight for these people,
Right.
you want a big tent to do the labor and the outreach and the
Yes.
door knocking and the canvassing.
Yes.
You don't want them in your policy room.
Right.
That is why we're here right now. Schumer does not give a rat's behind
Yeah.
about people dying with Medicaid. He
Right.
doesn't care that people are going to lose Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. All he cares about is his position of power.
Right.
And he has given up on actually leading and organizing a party. And
Right.
the fact that he will not stand aside
Yeah.
is an indicator that he just wants that power and the position and privilege and not fighting for the actual working class people.
And it was that moment, right, where I guess, I forget what title it was, but AOC ran for this position that would have put her in a leadership position of the Democratic Party, and Nancy Pelosi and all of these older Democrats like fought against that. And like you said, so now you're in this position where, you know, like you think like, oh, we're going to wear these pink blazers. And you think like you're so out of touch. And that's what it seems like. It seems like Jeffries and Schumer and Pelosi and all that, it's like they're so, like you said, they're so wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
They're so well-to-do, Gavin Newsom, and they're so out of touch with like the average person. And again, like what, like fighting might mean them maybe not getting down with some of these billionaires is going to fund their campaigns.
Yeah, that's how it looks. I believe honestly that these, you know, Democratic congressional people, these I would say professional vote getters, you know what I mean, however you want to frame it, have a vested interest in tanking the Democratic Party. Like, I honestly believe that they're all Trojan horses just sitting in there because it's like they benefit from the Republican stances right now. They're benefiting from all of these talking points that Trump is doing, all the Project 2025 shit. They're not really they got lifelong pensions, they have salaries, they have resources. And again, I still ascribe to the fact that they all voted for Trump. I believe they had no faith in the democratic system. They had no faith in Biden. They had no faith in Harris. They had no faith in Walz. They all voted for Trump and Vance because they knew that they were going to benefit directly from this. And because, like you said, the bar was so low, there's no expectations for the Democrats to fight back for any of this. They weren't expected to come out here and actually make change. So what they're doing is just sitting back, collecting a check, saying, oh, we're the minority party. We can't fight back. We have no power. And they really just get to come to work every day and just collect money and go home.